Welcome to Roleplay Cafe. It's Dale here along with Dune and John. Todd's going to not be available this week, but he'll slide right back in through the window into his comfortable shoes in the game here next week, I'm sure. But we're going to pick up, I think this is session 18 or something. But anyway, I'll put that exact session number on the description. But anyway, I'll digress and pass it over to John for a catch up.
All right. So we've been gone for a little while. Um, we have returned back to the mother colony. Um, Previously, we were on the Dillon colony, which is what Dell recalls as being his last session. So the events that got us off of the Dillon colony and back to the mother colony, uh, there was a group of refugees that was taken in by the, I guess, the former colonists that have kind of left the colony that they were living in and were now living in a camp in a plateau above that rose above a jungle that was filled with essentially cannibals that have devolved. Some of them uh, went off into the jungle and devolved into cannibalism, and others started residing in this camp. So these refugees were essentially running from uh, a a woman named Mother Michaela who led a group called the Children of the Two Divine, and they fled from her and crashed on the planet that the Dillon colony is on, and were taken in by these former colonists, but kind of lived in squalor a little bit. You know that this colony or this camp that the former colonists lived in kind of had a bit of a caste system going on, where there was you know manual laborers. There were like guards, and then there were like the upper class that uh, were responsible for more white collar type things. And the dynamic seemed to kind of follow the corporate structure that may have existed inside of the colony, because the executives all had Wayland jumpsuits on. So the group kind of interacted. Both Dr. Bircher, who's Dell's character, was interacting with Mother Michaela, found out that they were bringing some sort of like egg like cocoon out of the crashed ship that the refugees fled on. And they were looking for the refugees, and he made some sort of arrangement with them where they were going to investigate different parts of the area, and then they headed straight for the camp to meet up with the rest of the group. While the rest of the group was at the camp, um, their involvement seemed to kind of spark some sort of revolution amongst the various factions inside of the camp. And some fighting there seemed to be a large group of uh, the manual laborers were uprising and were going to storm the area held by the executives. And they didn't quite witness what happened, because they used that chaos to get into the jump ship with Dr. Bircher and all of the refugees and help them escape the planets. Um, while they were doing that, uh, Mother Michaela, instead of going off to investigate the ruined colony, circled back to the camp itself and started dropping these creatures into the middle of the camp. They were essentially like the cargo bay door open. Creatures were falling out into the camp and causing terror amongst the former colonists. The PCs didn't quite witness visually, but could hear the screaming and the chaos that ensued as they flew away. And they managed to avoid the ship in orbit uh, that Mother Michaela arrived onto the planet on, or I'm sorry, to the planet, not onto the planet. And they were going to fire at them, but due to the incredible piloting skills of Dudge, the pilot crew member, the team managed to put in their uh, their their FTL jump coordinates and made it out before the children of the two divine ship could retaliate.
Dodge,
So they
dodge,
escaped.
dodge. He's our man.
Yes, they escaped. They started making a plan, started investigating some of the belongings of the refugees to find out a bit more about the children of the two divine and maybe why they fled from Mother Michaela. And they found out that Mother Michaela seems to be trying to make contact with these. Uh, I guess she refers to them as like holy or almost uh, religious based beings that seem to be referred to as the destroying angels. They are essentially scouring the area trying to get nav map coordinates from any ship that they possibly can in order to find a particular system in the galaxy that has something that they're looking for. And they don't know, and the PCs do not know exactly what that is. But that seems to be their main goal. And some of these refugees experienced either horrible things trying to follow those orders and capturing and killing crew members of other ships to download their nav maps, or experiencing horrible things on the various planets that the children of the two divine uh, live on. And that is why they had fled and graciously accepted um, the PC's invitation to go to the mother colony and start a new life, essentially. So
We
we
thank you,
arrived at
Dr.
the mother
Bircher.
colony.
Thanks to Dr.
Yes.
Bircher for spending all that time with Mother Michaela on Dylan Colony planet side. Because Dr. Bircher was the one interacting with Mother Michaela and giving us all the recon on, like, everything in terms of
Yeah.
her body
Yeah, and
modification and her ship
yeah, and
and
that
her
so
people.
exactly, yeah. So I wanted to remind you that Mother Michaela you determined that she's a synthetic
Yes.
and that her
Yeah.
body is transforming somehow. Like her head is elongating, her appendages seem a bit longer than they should be. They're not the normal human proportions of a synthetic. You don't have an explanation for that, other than there's some like religious rites that you read about in the uh, in the belongings of the refugees during the flight back to the mother colony.
Okay.
Uh, that seems to imply that maybe something during these religious rites uh, are is what it induced that change in Mother Michaela, but there's no real details as to what it was specifically. So once you arrived,
Okay.
what we determined was that there's going to be a quarantine period. We're going to use the same process that you guys used when you returned from the Gorham colony, just to make sure that none of these refugees were infected and the crew did not become infected since they last left the mother colony. Uh, the only thing that occurred during that was that you determined that uh, there was something off about the one member of the of the refugees. He seemed to have some sort of biological, like the remnants of some sort of biological agents or like virus or something. It did not meet the criteria that Dr. Bircher had established for, the worms or whatever it was that came from the worm colony.
Yeah.
Uh, but it did not seem to be an active infection, uh, and there did not seem to be any chance of uh, transmission unless maybe there's like a blood transfusion or something like that. Uh, but it the decision was it didn't pose an immediate danger, so they were just going to monitor it.
Okay.
So essentially, what we did about Dr. Bircher and the fact that you were gone for so long was we said you went off to investigate the research that the scientists were doing on the samples that you brought back from the Gorham colony. Uh,
Okay.
and
Okay. That
we could
makes sense.
also say that maybe you tried to research this this refugee and whatever this biological remnant is inside of his system.
Yeah, I was
So that's kind
imagining.
of what we.
Yeah, I was imagining
But
that Dell. I was imagining that Dr. Bircher could potentially do whatever kind of analysis he wanted on this refugee with this condition.
Oh yeah, that definitely. And I know I don't have any sample tissue from the synthetic, but I wanted to see. I would have. Well, anyway, I can if retcon that toward my uh, research.
yeah.
If what they have infecting them could possibly, if put into a synthetic or interact with silicon based are either synthetic materials. You know what I mean? Like a
Hmm. Yeah.
virus, literally virus, computer virus, in affect her in a way where she could, like be going through that. So that would be trying to make a correlation in that respect would be where Bertrand was trying to do, as well as examining uh, the biological threat,
Okay.
issues.
All right. Yeah, that makes sense. So we'll pick that up and we'll find out what Dr. Bircher like what
Okay.
conclusions, if any, comes to.
Yeah.
So that was essentially the beginning of the last session. Up to that point. So what we did in the previous session was Windows and Yoko went and delivered their report uh, on the Dylan colony, decided what was going to be in it. We decided that Dr. Bircher could retcon that if he wanted to include some information, depending on what he finds out.
Yeah.
And then they decided to investigate uh, kind of, you know, what the status is the rebellion on the mother colony that was being led by General Ozelinski.
Yeah,
So
Yoko
when
was
we left,
interested because they because last time when we left they were at war, and then now it's calmed down. They said they controlled the resistance forces that were under General Ozelinski, and those were all, like, mostly former UPP people because of
yes,
General Ozelinski. And so Yoko, being a former OBP person, wanted to investigate, find out what, who's behind, like, if where Ozelinski is, because Ozelinski is currently missing, or hidden
Yeah.
somewhere. Um, there's rumors that there's some people protecting his location, and so Yoko's interested in finding out who like how many people still remain loyal to Ozelinski, and Yoko considers Ozelinski currently to be counter to the mission of the mother colony, which Yoko is completely bought into. So,
Okay. Okay. Makes sense. Yeah. Try to unearth that if you can. Um,
so
yeah.
there's stuff. Sean can
so
continue. Sorry.
yeah, sure. So so that investigation with Yoko and Windows led them to start looking for some of these like underground UPP supporters of Ozelinski. And the current reports were that they were on the ground level and were primarily located uh, in areas 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. That is essentially where the governor and her and the security personnel have kind of like they have to be based out of one of these 4 areas or 5 areas.
Yeah.
And so uh, they went to, they started looking around the area and saw that there was some security personnel kind of grilling some technicians inside of the garage in Area 6. And Yoko thought that there was observed, like from the reactions of these people as they were being interrogated, that one of them may be a supporter, and there was basically a attempt to kind of get them away or you know get them to run. So, but what it kind of devolved into was a chase between a security officer, this person that Yoko suspected was a supporter of Ozelinski, followed by Windows on foot as they went through the various areas. Uh, and there was a chase going on. Windows managed to keep up with everyone, but when they got into section 10 on the foot chase, the security guard followed the supposed supporter into a building uh, and was killed before Windows could get there.
Hmm.
He basically ran into the building after one of these shops after him uh, and staggered out backwards with like a giant metal, a sharp piece of metal like in his chest. Windows
Wow.
tried to save him, but was unsuccessful. He failed his first aid roll, and the guy bled out before help could get there to give him proper medical attention.
Okay.
Uh, while that was happening, Yoko, uh, some of these security guards started to suspect Yoko was, trying to insert himself into the situation and possibly be trying to make contact with somebody. And so he made a quick exit and managed, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that Yoko managed to escape uh, without being chased.
Yeah, I
Is
think I
that
did.
correct?
I was raising suspicion, and I think I kind of like before they were able to confront me, just kind of like, mosey on out of there, mosey on.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So that is where we left off last time. So depending on what Yoko wants to do, we can. I mean, if you want to, where Windows
Yeah,
is.
I think the
So
my initial reaction since Windows and I were in radio communication is to just rush to where Windows is. Like I know Windows
okay,
is handling a chaotic situation. I just left here, so I'm gonna probably cross however I can, maybe through 8, maybe through this alley. Head over there. So I imagine I'll arrive there whenever and see what's going on.
okay. So in that case, I'm going to say that you arrive there and see a large crowd uh, has gathered in the area as you kind of force your way through and try to, make, spot windows. You see that there is not a, I would say a contingent, but there's a group of security officers there that are asking them what is going on. You can see the feet You can make out the feet of one of a security guard on the ground and recognize, the matching boots and everything uh, to what the other security guards are wearing. So I'm going to let you decide what it is you want to do in that situation. You can think about it while we figure out what Dr. Bircher figure out some of his top priorities, and maybe we can do some rolls and play out a scene and figure out some of the information that he has gained, since
Sounds
this
good.
is
Right.
all taken place in the past of what is going on right now with Windows and Yoko.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
All right. So, Dell, what is Bircher's top priority? Like, where did he go first as soon as he got off of the Solovetsky Island?
Okay. As soon as he got off the Solovetsky Island, uh, it would have been to coordinate the new findings, info dump it into uh, my fellow colleagues, the scientists that are on the ship, which they've gained my trust in some respect as I theirs. The lady that I'd spoken to that was the head, I would have went
Yes.
directly to her in
Okay.
confidence initially, and and let her know all that we had found, and would have would have requested that the refugee would have assured that the others had been tested, but this one refugee was somewhat troublesome and could be evaluated further, uh, as well as letting her know about the synthetic we found. And as previously stated, my fears, as it were, in what direction of research I wanted to do, with these creatures and all that we witnessed, if there could be some kind of an effect toward the synthetic too. You know what I mean? So basically, she's going to be my confidant, in effect. Where I kind of tell her everything.
Okay. So this lead scientist is Alia Stevenson,
Okay.
um, and yeah. So once you arrive in her office, she gets up to greet you and says, "We've made some interesting progress on some of the samples that you brought us from the Gorham colony. I would be happy to discuss this with you, but yes, it's been brought to my attention this refugee that you brought with us. He has some sort of contaminant uh, that, that we haven't seen before. It's according to the report, it doesn't match what it is that you brought back from Gorham Colony. So, do you think there's some sort of connection? Would you like us to look into it?"
Strange. I was assuming that, or speculating to some degree that there might be some kind of a cross pollination of these species. Now, just out of game, the creatures that they were dropping, did they have any kind of familiarity to me? The one that had tried to, uh,
No, these were more like animal-like creatures. Um, I
okay,
think I think we had trouble showing that to everybody. Um, yeah. Let me try showing it again. Show to players. Did this pop up?
whoa. So that's
All
what
right.
they were dropping.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, this seemed to be. I mean, humanoid is a little bit of a stretch, but it is more of an animal-like creature where the thing that you encountered was definitely like more reptilian in the snake. It was more like a snake with a bulbous head that that attacked you, and that's the carcass that you brought back that Emily Quinton had gotten in
But
trouble for trying to hoard.
yeah, I mean, it may have a strange, like a similar coloration and texture of of skin, but nevertheless, that's fine. I'll continue with the dialogue between us. Um,
Okay.
as I'm describing them, then I'll pause and and the what perturbs me is that the synthetic that I spoke with, Mother Michaela, she referenced herself as, uh, it looks like she had gone through certain stages of, dare I say, transformation to some degree. Uh,
Synthetic trans transforms.
yes, I'm really at a loss. This has kept me up at night. But she seems to have quite the following, uh, almost occultish presence. Um, the the refugees need to be spoken with and probably evaluated mentally and see what kind of effects that she's had on them. Granted, you know, um, probably some of your colleagues in here might suffice for that task, but the the look of her, what was strange and correlated with the animals that she herself dropped, was there seemed to be some kind of a banding of her head to where her skull was elongated as the beasts that were being dropped as well. And it's far fetched, but I I would like to research possibly um, what may cause a synthetic to alter or transform. Um,
Well, I you have I'm more than willing to give you access to my laboratory and to perform your investigation. I personally have can't see how it would be possible. I mean, the synthetics are manufactured. There's no DNA or growth in the way that there is with the biological uh, being. So I don't know how that would be possible, but if my
yes,
laboratory is open to you.
I understand, and though I feel myself that I could be chasing, barking up the wrong tree, as it were, but still, there's something unsettling in her mannerisms and the way she approached me, and the following that she has, and to my mind, there has been no synthetic in our records that has been constructed in the manner that she uh, has the appearance of. So, um, granted, I would like to see if there was a strain of virus or in some way that could affect synthetic in that manner. Um, it's just something I would like to do, but the rest, everyone, we need to gain all the knowledge we can upon uh, of these infections that are happening with the refugees and whatnot, and make sure that we can produce some kind of countermeasures that will arrest any kind of spread of these infections and viruses or diseases amongst the mother colony here. Um,
All right.
but anyway,
So,
I kind of
uh,
bow to her and I'm like, thank you for all of your assistance. And I'll hit the laboratory hard and try to use all of my resources as well as all the specimens collected and do compare and contrast of the whole nine. Anyway,
okay. All right. So, um, why don't we? So, we're going to do an observation roll for this.
okay,
Um, so, how this is going to work is uh, you can. Oh, if you have any panic, you can drop down to zero. Uh, or I'm sorry, any stress, you can drop down to zero.
all right,
So we
okay,
zeroed that out during the trip back. So how this is going to work is you are going to do an observation roll for every success you get. You can ask, or I can make some sort of correlation between the samples that you know or that you have and the information that you describe you're just looking for. Uh,
Okay.
so I'm going to give you uh, an extra uh, die because of the fact that you have basically full access to their entire laboratory and even some uh, you know some of their assistants and stuff that can do some of the legwork
Interns.
for you.
A
Yes,
whole
interns,
lab at your
exactly.
Okay.
service. I really want to see a
So
scene with Dr. Bircher testing out some alien specimens on the bookkeeping, record keeping operations synthetic guy.
Well, yeah, I'll be checking the whole deal to see if there's any kind of being or creature or infection that might hijack um, synthetic or silicone based life
Yeah,
forms.
when we turned in our report last week, we turned it into the synthetic that kind of manages
Oh,
the bookkeeping or like record
oh
keeping and
man.
stuff. And
Okay.
I was making fun of it.
Okay. Yeah.
that's overseer Gaius, who is responsible for the all of the coordinating all of the expeditions amongst all the ships. All right, did you bump your skill up one before you did that roll?
No, I did not.
Okay, so you
Uh,
can roll an extra die and see if you get another six. Just do a slash R space D6, and that'll just give us an extra die. Because you got two successes.
okay.
I can do it for you if you can't. I don't know. I assume you're right. There you go.
I
All
was
right, you got a
typing
five.
it
All
elsewhere.
right.
Yeah.
You can
All
push if you
right.
want,
So
right?
do you want to push? So you will re-roll five dice if you push. Um, do you want to do that?
Okay. How many these X's up here? Jog my memory again. So I've had is that
Pushing,
two
I think,
successes?
Two successes.
automatically increases your stress by one. I think, like each
Okay.
stress you
Oh,
have
good.
gives you an extra
Yes.
die.
Yeah. So you have two successes right now.
Yeah.
So you should have bumped your skill up one. So you should have rolled seven dice originally. That's why we rolled the extra one.
Gotcha.
So when you push, you're going to re-roll everything that is not a success. So that's going to be five dice. You're,
Gotcha.
but it's also going to bump your stress up one.
Gotcha. I'll go ahead and push.
Which yeah. So that's okay. Go ahead and hit
And
the
if you
button.
roll a true one, you panic, but it's gonna be fine because
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So what is your? Oh, okay. Your
So the
wow.
four
That's a
successes.
bad. That is a bad roll. What? Yes, you do. You got four successes. I want to check something real quick on your character sheet. You are not panicking. Okay. All right. So this is what you're going to find out.
All right.
Uh, you want, I'm just trying to. I'm just reading your result.
oh,
Okay.
do you
So
only panic if you roll a
uh,
one on a stress die, or do you roll if you panic if you roll a one on any die? Looks like it's only stress dice.
just a it's yes, it's just a stress die.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and actually, you get to roll one more extra die. So
Oh, that's true.
do that d6 again, and
Gotcha.
make sure just to make sure you don't get a fifth six or fifth success. No. Okay. All right. So you got four successes. Is there anything that you really want to know? If not, I can start making correlations and stuff for you.
Um, that's going to be my main drive. I guess following that like seeing if a silicon-based life form can be hijacked by some kind of a hybrid infection or
Yeah.
virus, that change the computer. That's going to be the main kind of the far out there, but what I'm trying to see if it
Okay.
affects her because she's a preoccupation. And then secondarily, it'll be a lot of focus on trying to trap and maintain and help what I know with the other scientists on just the people
Okay.
being infected, right? And trying to,
Okay.
and thirdly, on what the creatures are themselves, what they're based out of. You know what I mean? And that'll correlate with the
Yeah.
synthetic aspect. Anyway, that's it.
All right. So the the first thing that you do is start trying to do research on what it is exactly that is capable of interacting with silicon based organisms like synthetics are.
Yeah,
And you find out that there have been some projects uh, that have involved creating essentially artificial viruses that are capable of either disabling or uh, over like manipulating synthetics. So it is possible, and there has been some attempts to do it amongst various organizations the various human organizations.
yeah.
Uh, but it essentially it never seems to have been like come to fruition and been weaponized.
Okay. But that's more of a thing of a hijacking, uh, I guess.
Uh,
For
so
there's no,
I so uh, what I'm saying is that it is capable of manipulating the physical programming and the physical aspects of the synthetic organism.
okay.
So so there
That's
is
money.
no
I was,
yeah
yeah,
so yeah so it's essentially allows it to like reprogram it in order to override its normal processes, and that could actually involve transforming the physical appearance uh, of the being itself, whether that is through it manipulating its own body, uh, or whether the infection itself starts to change the shape of the creature. Do you understand the distinction there? Like, so I'm basically talking about
okay. Oh, yeah, yeah. I get it. Get it.
like it, it
I was,
mutilates itself versus the organ, like the infection is actually causing the transformation.
yeah. Well, that's the road I was going down, like
Okay.
nanotechnology, programmable matter, different things
Yeah,
like that. If you could work
I'm
on that.
imagining that the synthetic has like whatever that white goop that runs through its system instead of blood, and like I
Yeah.
imagine there's like some maintenance um, features that are very similar to biological properties.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And so I imagine like
Exactly.
they were experimenting with viruses potentially that could affect those maintenance protocols.
yeah,
Maybe.
Yes. Yeah, and so the trouble you're having is how that could possibly carry over to a human being as well. Uh, so we could use
yeah.
another success to close that gap if you want.
Yeah, yeah, I would like that. That's what I'm trying to do is see if there's a danger there to us that we have to
Mm.
produce guidelines to that way.
Okay, so I think I forgot to mention that, or maybe I didn't clarify enough. The sample like that you got out of the refugee, uh, it it's it's kind of dormant because of his um, th- because of his immune system has learned to fight this thing off, uh, and it seems to have been in his bloodstream for quite a long time. Like his body has been fighting this off, and has
Oh,
become really good at it, and it seems to be keeping it at bay. Uh,
okay.
so most of the samples that you're getting out of this are like the remnants of the cells of whatever this, infection is after it's his immune system has killed it.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
so you take some of these samples and you start running through and seeing if there are some flags inside of it that give you an idea as to whether it could also affect a silicon based organism.
Yes.
And the information, I mean, the conclusion that you come to, it's limited because of the nature of uh, like the information that is available based off of the dead cells that you're getting from his
Yeah,
immune
they're not
system.
active for
Um,
me to
yes,
see.
yeah. So you're not able
Yeah.
to come to a definitive conclusion, but this virus seems robust enough that it may be able to adapt and change the way that it engages with the thing that it is infected based off of the the prime, whether it's a carbon based life form or a silicon based, it may be able to adapt in such a way that it could infect both but actually do it through a different mechanism.
Hmm. Hmm.
Ah, okay. Yeah. This probably explains my panic is um, my fears are becoming more tangible to me as being real.
Yeah.
So at that point in time, they'll see me rubbing the stethoscope and walking around and kind of mumbling to myself and little beads of sweat as I'm working in the thing. But I'll be working without much sleep than the whole of this process. But anyway, yeah,
All right. So we're not going to do the panic quite yet because you still have two successes left.
okay,
Uh,
gotcha.
is there? Do you want me to make? I mean, unless you have more specific questions, I can make correlations for you and to fill in
Well,
some gaps.
I would think that I would take some of those dead cells and try to go Frankenstein and try to see if I could generate life in a contained area where it wouldn't be escaped. But since I've
Hmm.
got a real fear that that could be something, so to analyze it little bit more, I'll try to stimulate it back into yeah, out of dormancy if indeed it is, you know.
Okay. Okay. So that is going to take a significant amount of time, but I will let you use one success to
Okay.
be able to gather basically and isolate enough samples of partial, I guess I don't I don't know the terminology, but partial DNA sequences that you
Yeah.
could actually reconstruct it and potentially bring it back. If if you take enough of the little pieces, you can put it all back together, and theoretically, it might be able to come back to life.
Try to clone it basically.
Um,
Yeah.
yes, so that's going to take a significant amount of time because that's an involved process. So we can come
Yeah.
back to what that achieves, but I'll let you get the pieces that you need to do that with a third success. So you've
Okay.
got one more that we can resolve now, and then we can pick that piece up
Oh yeah. No,
later on.
that'll be great. While I'm trying to do it, I'll see. I'll be working from the other end too to see um, not only how it may affect silicon, but also the carbon, and not after it. Well, yeah. Well, obviously, if I reanimated it, so to speak, I'd do a comparison of it to see if what it took to.
Okay,
But I mean,
so you want to say
it's already
you
shown in the carbon life form is there, but if it can affect silicon, so in other words, the other one I want to make sure that if it has any correlation with the alien species, you know, uh, DNA wise, or any overlap between the three, silicon, carbon, and the alien comparative
okay? So you want
association.
to save you essentially want to save that third success for after you've successfully brought it back. Is that right? Is that what you're saying?
Well,
Or, I mean, the fourth success. I'm sorry, not the third success.
I'm just saying, like, whenever I bring the DNA, I want to uh, compare the alien um, tissue and see if it's effectual on that, or see if there's any. Of course, I'll see if there's any overlap, in that DNA
Okay.
with alien tissue. In fact, I might be bringing it from. Um,
Sorry, you're comparing the refugee sample with the alien samples from Gorham? Is that what you're doing?
well, yeah,
It,
yeah.
Or
Well,
from Dylan?
I'm seeing. I'm just taking all the different samples and
I
seeing if
see.
I can draw some
Yeah.
kind of comparison. Because if there was some kind of alteration that the virus did in the DNA sequences that might be aligned
Yeah.
whenever I compare them, that's what I'm getting at to see if there's a thread of like, with the infected pieces as far as mutation wise or
Yeah.
change. You know what I mean? That could be tied back. That's how I would fill in the gaps of what the original DNA of the species was, the virus or the contaminant,
Yeah.
and reconstruct it, kind of doing it backwards that way. Anyway, that would be my fourth.
okay.
The Okay,
So um, I will. We will find out. You're going to have to spend like at least a couple days trying to uh, kind of resurrect this
yep,
virus that you got from the refugee. So let's just do a quick scene of what
okay,
is going on after you've done your initial evaluation of this and your research and everything, and you've gotten the samples. You have to head to a specialized laboratory.
okay,
All of this is up on the Ilyanla, which is, if you remember, that is the
yeah,
large vessel that you arrived on that is in orbit above the mother colony.
yes,
That's where this laboratory is. So Windows and Kip are down on the mother colony itself on the planet. They are not within easy reach of you. So
okay,
you've been working well into the evening. Um, you've had, as I mentioned, you had some laboratory assistants and stuff that kind of, got some of this research and presented it to you for you to look through. And you had the help of one young woman gathering all of these samples that you've taken from the refugee. You've had to take like several pints of blood from him in order to get all of the individual pieces that you need to actually attempt this resurrection. It is well into the evening. You told this young woman to go, just to go and uh, get some rest. And as you've prepared all of the various samples and start heading to the specialized laboratory, uh, you hear in the hallways between the lab that you're in and the specialized laboratory, you hear some conversation going on, which is unusual because most people should be asleep. It should be a skeleton crew at this point.
yes.
And you recognize the voice of one of these people as being General Ozelinsky.
Ooh.
Oh, geez.
They don't know you're
Okay,
there. You're just hearing them. They seem to be walking down ahead of you in a hallway. Uh, you suspect they're going in the same direction as you.
okay,
You can't quite make out what they're saying. You pick up a few words here and there, but Ozelinsky has a very distinct, powerful voice that you particularly heard before you left for the Gorham colony when he was getting everyone under control in the cafeteria after the governor gave her first speech.
okay. And let me see. My affiliation is I don't think it's the same affiliation
No,
as
I think everybody's different. I believe that you
yeah,
are the UN. I think.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was
Mm.
in direct, opposition to their philosophies or whatever,
Uh,
the
I mean, it kind of is. The UN and the UPP are kind of direct
yeah,
direct enemies. That is who the fighting war is going on that you heard about at the very beginning of the campaign, taking
yes.
place, uh, back in the main area of the galaxy. So yes, I mean, you're not necessarily might not have anything personally against Ozelinski, but your
Well, I know
organizational
Western,
affiliations are against one another.
the uprising or whatever like that, I don't necessarily think that they're doing a good job, securing, uh, the area as need be. I feel like it's in the wrong hands. So, I'm not gonna be overly friendly whenever I do just more or less walk up, in a way to get closer, you know? But,
Okay.
so I'm not trying to hide so much, but I do just walk rather carefree. I know I'm tired. I've been up for a long while, but, I'll try to get within earshot, right?
Okay. So, are you trying to? Uh, you don't want to see them. You just want to hear them. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah, but I
In
I
that
don't want
case,
to be, hiding per
yeah. So
se.
I understand. Yeah. So give me a mobility roll, and we will see if you can get close enough to. All right,
Nice.
you got a success. So, yes, you are able to get close enough to them. Uh, you kind of close the distance a little bit, but uh, not enough that you will be potentially observed. You kind of hang back just enough to pick up some crucial pieces of information. Uh, so, I mean, you get a few brief looks at the person that he's speaking with,
Yeah.
and it seems to be uh, a, a fairly young woman. She can't be past her mid 20s. She has short blonde hair, and she is speaking to. I mean, it has to be Ozelinski from the voice that you heard. Uh,
Yeah.
you don't get a good look. He seems to be like kind of disguised a little bit in a very unassuming clothing rather than a uniform. Uh, but it
Okay.
seems to be that the two of these people are collaborating with one another. This woman is supplying both weaponry uh, and moving him around the planet and between the Ilyanwa and the mother colony. And she is
Mm.
concerned over the essentially the safety of her underlings.
Okay.
Uh, that's essentially what you've picked up through the pieces that you were able to hear.
Okay. Now, does she look? Is she wearing staff, clothing?
No,
Or
she is wearing some sort of like flight suit or something. Uh,
okay.
it
All
seems
right.
to be um, it is not like any uniform or clothing that you have seen so far since you've arrived here.
Okay. Um, I'm going to just, um, pick up the pace a little bit and
Okay.
try to get to the point where, I mean, they're going in the same direction as I am,
Yes.
but, I will just walk very casually, like I don't recognize who they are, uh, or what they're doing, and I'm gonna see if I can get by and catch her name. But yeah, I'm gonna get close. Is whenever I'm walking up to them, they'd be like, "Excuse me," and then I'm going to. Well, anyway, that's what I'm doing. I'm catching up if I can, and then when I get there, I'm gonna start to walk around them to pass them, and then I'm gonna look in surprise at her. I'm gonna see if she has a name tag, and
Okay.
then blurt out like I know her, you know, like yeah, I'll say her
You're gonna
name and yeah,
okay. So you're gonna see if she has a name tag, and then if you see one, you're gonna pretend like you know her.
exactly. Even if I don't, I'll change the name or whatever. But yeah,
Okay. All right. So you I mean, you're not trying to hide yourself or your approach.
no, no,
So
no. I'm just casually
yeah,
walking. Yep,
yeah. So you come around the corner and are walk clomping your feet and stuff while you're walking, not trying to hide your movement. The two of you see them make a brief glance behind you, and they immediately stop their conversation. Uh, as you, uh, they don't seem to be making any aggressive moves or anything. They've just stopped their conversation and are kind of move apart a little bit to let you by.
yeah. Whenever they
Uh,
glance back, I'll quicken my pace a little bit and walk up, and I'll stare at her. And as I'm staring, I'll
it's
look at her and then and whatever her name tag says, or if she's name tagless, I'll say,
Yeah, she does not have a name tag. Um,
I'll say
like I
Sarah.
said, you don't. You're going to say Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah. And then I'll get wide eyed and I'm going to lay down thick, even give her a hug, reach in for a hug. It's been forever.
You
And good. Not,
you see a look.
like the days in the UN, and I'm gonna go on like that. Okay.
You see a look of confusion come over her face, and she kind of steps back when you go in to hug her, and puts her arms up against your chest and pushes you back and says, I'm afraid you have me mistaken for someone else."
I'm gonna look at her with hopefully the best acting I could do and seem affronted. And Sarah, you know, back in the days when we went to school together in college, you you don't remember what has happened, you know. So I'm literally a doctor in here. I've got my smock on or whatnot. I have a clipboard. Not that we use clipboards, you know. But
Yeah,
anyway, my bad. But yeah, I'm not gonna let go of that teeth. I mean that and whenever if she relents a little bit more, I'm gonna kind of just look at her like she's crazy and back off and um okay, my apology. And then kind of glance at him. Doesn't recognize him. He's dressed as a commoner, so to speak.
yeah.
Well, I'll move along and then I'll walk away. The whole situation is to, you know, maybe she's not Sarah, but then again, I don't know how well he knows
Yeah.
her or if he now thinks he can put his trust in her.
So I mean, when you do this, she pushes you back and insists that you're mistaken. I'm not the Sarah that you confusing me with. Be on your way, or there's going to be trouble. And
Of course, I'll laugh it off like she's just, you know, like at first, and then I'm sincerely looking at her like there's something wrong with her. Like it isn't no mistaken identity on my part. And I'll reference the UN in our days together and whatnot. And then, yeah, but so I'll glance at him like she obviously doesn't want him to know. And then I'll back off and continue on, uh, hopefully throwing a little monkey wrench in the relationship
mhm,
and walk
okay,
off and
all right.
head to sleep.
And so in the Discord chat, or in the alien, yeah, in the alien
Yeah.
Discord channel, I posted a picture of what she looks like. And you
Oh, I'm
As you're
with her,
walking, as you are walking away, you hear Ozelinski say to her, "Gorham, do you know who that man is?" And she responds, "I've never seen her before in my life, or him before in my life."
yeah, yeah, yeah. She can,
So the 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 key thing that picks you that you pick up is that this person's name seems to be Gorham, as in the Gorham colony.
gotcha. Okay,
So the that immediately you make a connection in your mind that the Gorham colony was established by a high executive in the Wayland Corporation named J.V. Gorham.
okay. Yeah, I'll file that away and, head off, and that's when I raise my eyebrows, and, immediately my mind goes, "I'll have to get in contact with Yoko about this." I know he's doing some research, and
Can
that's
you
when I'll head
remind me,
off.
Gorham was the first or the second? Gorham was the first colony we went to, and Dylan was
Yeah,
second.
Yes, that's correct.
yep,
Yep.
yep. We've already got those colonists here on the ship,
Oh yeah.
the mother colony.
Wonder if they know Sarah.
All
So
right. So we will. I don't know if we're going to have time to resolve your resurrection of the virus this session. So maybe we'll pick that up next session.
well,
But
yeah, you got to
why
keep in
don't
mind
we?
the panic too. You know,
Right. Yes.
yeah,
So why don't we pick up with what Yoko's doing
yes,
down on the ground level in Area 10? Uh, he sees a huge crowd there. The body of the what he assumes is the guard that Windows was following, and Windows seems to be being interrogated.
Um,
Is Yoko going to intervene in this
well,
interrogation,
I have a quick
or
question, just for the law of the land of the mother colony. Like, w- what is my expectation from this scenario? Meaning, like, do I expect that they're just going to arrest Windows and like put him up for trial and murder him, or like, or
I
do I
mean,
expect that like they'll take a measured account from all the witnesses, or like like what do I expect here? I don't really. But
I I mean, based off of, I mean, let's just assume that Windows kept you relatively informed as to what was going on,
yeah,
as maybe not, uh, you know, uh, a turn by turn type of accounting of what was happening, but he explained to you that he followed the guard. The guard went into the shop and then staggered backwards, and he tried to save him.
right.
So, based off of that information, your assumption would be that not that they suspect Windows of having done anything wrong, but they want to get as much information out of him as possible to figure out who killed this guard.
Okay,
If
and
if anything, if
so
anything, he should probably get some sort of not a like a commendation, but he should get they should appreciate the fact that
he tried to help.
he tried to save the
Yeah, yeah,
guard's
yeah.
life.
I mean, it kind of depends
Uh,
on the witnesses around here and their disposition
yeah.
towards whoever,
eh,
towards us and the guards. Okay, so here's what I plan to do. I plan to not intervene with the guard with whatever kind of interrogation Windows is going through, and I just want to like make eye contact with him to like so he knows what I'm doing, and I'm like gonna just or maybe I'll just tell him in the earpiece like, hey, I'm gonna follow up. Like just sorry, Windows. Keep tell them what they need to hear, but I'm gonna see if I can find out what happened, and I'm gonna go straight into the store and see if I can see a direction that the person went because I know that they came into here, and I saw the person pretty well because I was dealing with them. So I'm looking. So
Okay.
I'm going into the store, and I'm looking for any evidence of like a direction that that person could have gone, or the person themselves, or anything like that.
All right. So there is you make contact with Windows. Maybe it's a one-sided conversation through your links. He obviously can't respond because they would hear
Yeah,
him
yeah, yeah,
say
yeah, yeah.
say it. But yeah, so you step around. There is a security officer
Oh,
that seems to be talking to some people around the store. Um, but there seems to be enough traffic that you're confident he's not going to be suspicious of the fact that you entered.
okay.
So as you go into the store, it seems to be some sort of electronics repair shop. I think I mentioned that before.
Yeah.
Um, there is, there's stuff in the windows that's been repaired and is for sale. As you actually go inside, it's kind of a mess. There's racks um, of just parts and stuff like that, and things that are probably going to be available for sale once they're repaired. It's not a terribly big shop. It only goes back about maybe 30 or 50 feet. But there is a lot of these shelves and areas for people to hide. Um, so it's quite possible that the person being chased went inside of here and just, found the biggest, sharpest piece of metal they could and waited to ambush the guy.
Okay.
If you want to try to figure out if there is some place for them to have escaped to,
Yes.
like besides the door that you came in, you can give me an observation roll.
Yes, I'd like to try to do that. I'm going to roll observation.
All right, your
Wow, I have
ones are
so
quick.
many observation dice.
All right, we went from 0 to 3.
Let's go.
So you're going to find out quite a bit. Um, so you start searching around this area. You can see that there is a pile of large, like metallic cases that might have like computer mainframes or some sort of
Hmm.
like hydraulic system and stuff, and that are it's pushed up against the wall. Uh, it seems like there is enough of a gap, so it's not completely touching the wall, but it looks like it is. It's actually resting on some sort of shelving by a few inches, and it's you see some kind of indications that there's a seam in the wall, as though the wall might be able to open about 4 or 5 inches before it hits these metallic containers, and you might be able to squeeze through.
Hmm. Is there a shopkeeper in
You
here?
do. I'm sorry.
Is there a shopkeeper?
He's most likely being interrogated outside.
Ah, I see, I see.
Uh, so yeah, I mean, so you're pretty confident that that is, you know, the most obvious way that you could have left this room.
Okay. Do I need to use this
But you
success if I just want to go
notice,
out that way? I want to go. I'm going.
um,
I want to be quick. I don't want to waste too much time.
okay, all right, yeah. So you can use that success to go through that doorway, uh, and as you're past, you know work that opening out, and it seems to open fairly easily once you figure out where the seam is,
Mm-hmm.
and you squeeze through. And as soon as you do, you immediately notice that there is a security camera looking directly at the door that you just stepped through,
Mm-hmm.
like inside of the passageway
Yeah.
that that door leads into. And then even further down the hallway, you see that there is another one that's going to be, tracking movement further down in that direction.
I just want to close the door behind myself. or like close the passage behind myself, and
Yeah,
then
I assume so.
yeah, yeah, and then look at the camera and do some kind of UVP salute.
Okay. Yeah, I'll say that there's some sort of salute or something like that. Um, you do it. There doesn't seem to
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
be any
and then I'll
immediate change in
continue on the
anything.
path down this hallway.
All right. So the hallway uh, seems to be traveling horizontal to, I mean, not, I'm sorry, not horizontal, perpendicular to the entrance of the shop. So it
Okay.
seems to go along the outer perimeter of the, of all of this wall, which is the black area on the map.
Yeah.
every, you know, every maybe 40, 50 feet, you can see that there's another opening into another shop, or
Hmm.
what you assume is another opening into another shop.
Okay.
And that seems to correlate with each of the cameras that you're seeing along the hallway.
Okay.
So those cameras were another one of your successes. So you still have the third success.
I mean, so I assume that this person ran through here. If I'm wrong, oh well. But um, man, this is a hallway that runs in either direction, and it has access to every single store. So, I mean, is there a blood trail? Doubtful.
No, there is no blood trail, which most likely means that the person being chased was not injured.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, they shoved this metal into the other person. The other person was bleeding, not them. Okay. I mean, I don't know. This is a cold trail. I don't know where to go. Is there anything? Is there any way to determine if they went left or right?
Do you want to use your last success to do that?
Yes.
All right. So you can see that there is a not a ton of traffic in this area. Like there is an accumulation of dust uh, and debris and stuff here, which means it doesn't, you know, uh, there's not a lot of people using this.
Mm-hmm.
As you look both directions, you can see that it looks like there's something that was toppled over recently
Mm.
that um, revealed a clean spot on the object that it was stacked on top of. So you suspect that this person knocked this over very recently and you know revealed this clean spot. Uh, and there's dust all over the beam that they kind of knocked over.
Yeah, let's
So
rush in that
you are
direction.
pretty
I guess.
confident.
Yeah, run,
You're
rush.
pretty confident that they are heading kind of south, basically the south direction.
Okay.
So towards Area 11.
Okay. I'm just gonna go that way and look for another lead. If they don't, if I see something great. If I don't, then great.
Uh, so you start heading down that direction, and you're looking at all of the you know the openings into the various shops. I mean,
Actually, you
nothing's
know,
really
yeah,
sticking
I'll
out.
push on
Oh, go
I'll
ahead.
push on every door as I run past just to see if any of them are like open or like easy to,
Uh,
you know.
a couple of them hit something very quickly, like they
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
move
yeah,
like a quarter of an inch and hit something.
yeah.
Another one, yeah, other ones are easy to open. Uh, are you
Okay.
going like how much are you opening them? I guess.
Um.
And are
Yeah.
are you
I'll just like push on it. So like if it swings open, great. If it hits something, great. That's fine too. But if it swings open, um, if it swings open, I'll yell into the store. I assume it's a store, and I'll say, "Anyone run through here?"
Um, so the third door you push it on opens up quite a bit, and it seems to have disturbed some inventory in the shop, like some sort of clothing,
Uh huh. Uh
and
huh.
pushed the shelving, like pushed or not the shelving, but the hangers that these things were draped on
Mm-hmm.
out, and you yell into it, and someone jumps back when like they maybe it's a customer or something
Mm-hmm.
when you do this, and they don't know how to react. You're face to face with them, or not face to face, but you've made eye contact, uh, and they're about maybe 15 feet away from you.
Okay.
Um, and they look confused and they say, no, no, no one's come through here.
Okay. Thanks. And I just keep going.
All right. So you try a couple more doors, and that's when at the end of the hallway, you see someone come around the corner. About, oh, wait, is that pinging?
Here.
Forget how to ping. Yes, right there. As you're going around that corner, you see a group of three very big men with uh, various weapons in their hands. Like one has a large knife, another one has some makeshift like bludgeoning weapon, and the other seems to have some sort of security baton. But these are not security
Mm-hmm.
officers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they are headed directly in your direction. So we're going to pick up with that at the next session.
Excellent.
That's your cliffhanger. We're going to give Dell a cliffhanger. He makes his way to this specialized laboratory
Okay.
and begins, Dr. Bircher begins the very careful reassembling of the various samples to try to reconstruct this virus. Uh, and once he's confident that he's recombined the pieces, he has to inject a little chemical, uh, like I guess accelerant or something
Yeah.
that uh, kind of reinitiates uh, the processes inside of the virus and brings it back to life. Uh, he When he injects this liquid into the restructured virus, he is immediately taken aback by how quickly this thing begins to react. He was expecting it to take several minutes to become active again, uh, and he sees it starts moving around the isolated area, searching for something to reproduce with. Uh, and
Whoa.
eventually, it seems to grapple onto the edge of like the quarantine area, which is where you are carefully manipulating everything. And
Yeah.
there's like these basically essentially like these microscopic tweezers that you are using to to put all the pieces together. It
Yeah.
attaches onto one of the end of the tweezers and breaks it off and begins using it to replicate itself.
Whoa.
And you watch in astonishment as it does that. And within 20 or 30 seconds, there are now two viruses, uh, independent cells. and they start trying to find something else, and you instinctively pull the tweezers out of the area, and that seals off the quarantine entirely. But you don't know what to expect next, and whether it can start using the walls of the quarantine area
Yeah,
itself
exactly.
to reproduce. So uh, that is where we will pick up with Dr. Berger next time.
Whoa.
Cool.
Yeah, I
So,
guess it would cause stress.
Make sure you wash your hands before you touch your face.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Don't, if your eye itches, don't touch it yet.
No, yeah, that's good. Stop provoking. Yeah, that's definitely like to me, I could have just reactivated something that I've worked so hard to keep away, you know, because I didn't expect it to be that voracious. So that's rough.
Cool.
All right. So I guess everyone's in an exciting position at the beginning of the next session,
Oh
assuming we can
yeah.
all make it.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, I don't have anything going on next week, so I'll be ready to play if everybody else is,
yeah,
or at
yeah,
least two of us, I should say.
I'm here. We'll see.
Okay.
yep, yep. Same here. Same here.
All right.
Yeah, appreciate it,
Well,
John. Great.
Thanks,
yeah.
John.
Well, thanks for the game,
Thanks,
Good.
guys.
Phil.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, dude. Good playing again.
Yeah.